It's been a while since I've talked about this particular topic. The last time I talked about this was back in, I think it was a few years ago, like in 2021 or something. I talked about whether or not Harley Quinn should have her own video game. So, yeah, it's something that I'm a bit surprised about in terms of it not actually happening. The closest we got to her having her own video game was the Suicide Squad game that recently just came out. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which is something that a lot of people blasted. Um, the game had a lot of promise and it was hyped up heavily before it's released. And yeah, a lot of people don't even recommend it. Most of the reviews were mediocre or just, flat out bad. And it just goes back to just them trying to shove the Suicide Squad down our throats and trying to get us to accept this. And the thing is, a lot of people, for the most part, they don't necessarily like the Suicide Squad. I mean, that was evident when the 2016 movie came out years ago, and a lot of people they trashed that movie. It wasn't as bad as people said it was, but it still wasn't a great, Marvel movie either. And after that, Harley Quinn just became um, more and more popular as a character because I guess the character shined probably the most in that movie, along with the fact that the character has been featured in like one of the best Batman games that we got in the teens decade, which was Arkham City. Um, See, the thing is, like Harley Quinn, one of the reasons why she's become popular is for like multiple reasons. It's because of her look, her attitude, the fact that she has been, involved with Batman and the Joker for like so long, and especially like when Batman was still like, really popular within the realm of video games, like over a decade ago. And it's gotten to a point where it's like she began to rival, Joker in terms of popularity. And at this point, I would say that in some ways, like she's more popular than Wonder Woman. Don't get me wrong, Wonder Woman is still a bigger name than she is, and Wonder Woman seems to appeal more to casuals. Harley Quinn has always appealed more to like the adult audience or to young adults for the most part. And that was evident when she had her own show back in 2019. And honestly, the show was actually pretty entertaining. It was a lot better than I expected it to be. Um, it was it was M rated, it was bloody, it was gory, but at the same time, it was lighthearted and funny and full of jokes. And honestly, I do feel that the time to give her her own video game, I'm not going to say that it's past, but it's something that should have been done a few years ago where she was like white hot because I feel like her popularity has cooled down a little bit within the past few years because they didn't, DC or, whoever didn't make any move whatsoever to, give her own game where everything focused on her and all that other stuff. Like the Suicide Squad game, it's just, it's Harley and a couple of other names, grouped together. And then, the story is kind of just whatever. The Justice League are, being mind controlled and they're the villains and whatever. Um, because the thing is, I'm a bit disappointed that we didn't get a Harley Quinn game. I'm still disappointed we didn't get Injustice 3 yet. That's something that could happen later down the line. But if you look at Injustice 2 and Injustice 1, those games weren't, bestsellers or anything like that. I don't even know if either one of those games broke a mill or not. I don't even remember. I mean, that's how long it's been. I think for the most part, like even though the Injustice series had mainstream appeal to some extent, looking back at it now, it seems like more niche than anything. And the reason I say it's niche is because a lot of people are divided between DC and Marvel in terms of what they like, and obviously. Marvel games nowadays have been like more popular. And what I mean by that, I'm talking about the Spider-Man series. Everybody loves Marvel Spider-Man from 2018, which came out on the PS4. They love Marvel Spider-Man 2, which came out this past year for the PlayStation 5. And while it's true that like some people overrate the hell out of Marvel Spider-Man 2, um, the Marvel Spider-Man series kind of reminds me of the Batman Arkham series in terms of look, in terms of gameplay, in terms of the overall like storytelling and music score and all that stuff. It seems like when it comes down to like superhero based video games, Spider-Man just became like really popular again. And the sad part about all this is that Marvel's owned by Disney, and Marvel is still putting out better stuff than DC right now. DC, for the most part, is more adult oriented. I think the reason why DC games have been suffering for the past couple of years or so is because, for whatever reason, they're trying to move Batman out of um, out of the spotlight in terms of being like the face of DC, and they're trying to go with someone else. But I don't think Suicide Squad's going to fill that void. And honestly, like, because I know like Wonder Woman's supposed to be getting her own game sometime in the future, but we saw a trailer for Wonder Woman's game like this past year, but we don't know much about it. We haven't seen any gameplay footage, and I think the reason why we're getting a Wonder Woman game is because maybe she is seen as probably one of the biggest names next to Batman, because for the most part, like Superman, he's not going to rival Batman in terms of like popularity, or in terms of being able to connect with the casual audience. Now, like Superman's supposed to be getting his own movie next year, Superman Legacy, but I'm not too sure, what that movie's going to be like. I'm keeping my fingers crossed and hoping that's not a dud. It doesn't fall below our expectations, and it doesn't insult our intelligence with Superman being a paragon, superhero and all that stuff, because people are really sick of that. And yeah, I mean, Wonder Woman did have a movie back in 2017 that was also a success, but I think she had another movie that came out back in 2020, which bombed at box office. But Harley Quinn also had a movie that came out back in 2020, which was Birds of Prey. That actually did pretty well in terms of box office, revenue and all that stuff. And honestly, it's like I said, 2019, 2020, even 2021, those were good time periods for Harley Quinn to have her own game where everything focused on her, character development, all that other stuff. And it seems like, that's something that's not gonna happen anytime soon, and it's a damn shame. But yeah, Harley Quinn within the past couple of years definitely deserved her own game. Hopefully, her being a part of Justice League killed the not the Justice League, yeah, the Suicide Squad killed the Justice League game. Hopefully, that's something that hasn't like hurt her. It has not hurt her in terms of like popularity or anything like that, um, because like if Wonder Woman's going to get her own game, they should do something for her as well. And yeah, I can't believe I'm making a video about this, like more than 2 years later. Hopefully I won't have to make a part three or anything like that for whether or not Quinn deserves her own video game. But we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens a little bit later down the line.